I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10, and Fridays are awesome. Hope yours is going well so far. Financially speaking, your credit is your trustworthiness to pay back a loan. Might be for a house or a car or something you buy on a credit card. One major company that keeps track of people's credit is Equifax. You don't sign up for Equifax and you can't get rid of it. The agency just collects credit information on hundreds of millions of people worldwide. Here's the bad news. Equifax has been hacked, and that might have exposed a massive amount of personal information to people who should not have it. This is so concerning that the U.S. government, which doesn't usually comment on ongoing investigations, has confirmed that it's gotten involved to try to find out what went wrong.
Equifax, one of the three big credit monitoring companies, those companies that track all of your finances and everything you do, just announced that hackers have broken into the company's databases and stolen information on 143 million Americans. For perspective, that's more than half of American adults. And the thing is, you might be affected even if you don't use Equifax, because Equifax tracks everybody. So what happened exactly? Hackers, we're not yet sure who, stole names, birthdays, addresses, social security numbers, and importantly, driver's license numbers. This is extremely sensitive information that can be used to steal your identity. According to the company, they also got access to 209,000 people's credit card numbers. This is the kind of thing that hackers can try to sell on the black market, and fraudsters can then steal your tax refund at the end of the year, open up a bank account in your name, or in a pretty worst case scenario, print out fake IDs, get in trouble, and police will be looking for you, not the fraudster. You might be affected by this even if you've never heard of Equifax, because this company tracks everyone who's applied for a loan, a mortgage, or opened up a bank account.
Lawsuits are expected over this. Equifax has been accused of not doing enough to protect people's information from potential hacks. The agency is offering free temporary credit monitoring to those who might have been affected. Experts say people should sign up for that to check their own credit reports and to consider freezing their credit, which can make it harder for someone else to use your name to open an account. The U.S. Central Intelligence Agency says many people in North Korea are malnourished and live under bad conditions. And the international penalties on the country for its recent nuclear test are designed to squeeze its economy more than ever. But in the capital, where CNN's Will Ripley was recently allowed to travel, he didn't hear people say they were worried.
Here in Pyongyang, government officials are strongly condemning this latest round of UN Security Council sanctions, using words like evil, vicious, calling it a full-scale economic blockade. But when you go out on the streets and speak with regular people, they don't seem concerned at all. It's tough to find a traffic light in Pyongyang. Traffic cops direct the flow of cars. The streets noticeably busier each time I come here. Busier, at least for now. The U.S. says the latest UN sanctions threaten to cut North Korea's oil supply by nearly a third, which could spike prices for everything from taxis to energy. A ban on textile exports and the end of foreign labor contracts could further slash the income of this cash-starved country. But if you ask Ri Hae-hyung, she's not worried. Her refreshment stand has a steady flow of customers. She says life is improving, despite round after round of increasingly heavy sanctions. We have no problems, she says. Everything I'm selling is made locally. We don't worry. We rely on ourselves. Kim Hae-sung casually shrugs off threats from the United States. The U.S. President Donald Trump said that these sanctions are just not a big deal and that there's much worse to come. Does that worry you at all? We don't care what the U.S. president says or what the outside world thinks about us, she says. We don't worry because we believe in the leadership of Marshal Kim Jong-un. Keep in mind, this is a very thin slice of life in this closed country.
It's good.
Reporters like us can only see what the government allows. But all over the North Korean capital, we see plenty of new construction, an increasingly modern skyline, a mandate from North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, determined to prove he can grow the economy and the nuclear program, all in the face of unprecedented sanctions for his repeated violations of international law. You see these posters all over Pyongyang, and they pretty much sum up North Korea's official response to increased pressure from the U.S. More missiles. North Korean propaganda is built around their nuclear program. It symbolizes strength, independence. It's key to their national identity. Is there anything at all that could get North Korea to walk away from its nuclear program? We'll never give them up, says Ri Chang-son. If we did, it would mean our destruction. Around town, new posters show a pair of hands ripping up UN sanctions resolutions. North Korea's defiant message, they will never give up their nukes, even if that means life is about to get a lot harder.
10-second trivia. Which of these astronomers is credited with discovering a gap between Saturn's rings? Galileo, Copernicus, Cassini, or Kepler? Giovanni Domenico Cassini is the namesake of Saturn's Cassini division, a gap in its rings. Not coincidentally, he's also the namesake of NASA's Cassini spacecraft, which launched toward the ringed planet in October of 1997. At a cost of over $3 billion, most of which was paid for by the U.S., Cassini sent back hundreds of thousands of pictures and carried a probe that landed on one of Saturn's moons. But NASA has set Friday as Cassini's last because it wants to control where the spacecraft goes when it runs out of fuel.
And liftoff of the Cassini spacecraft on a million-mile trek to Saturn.
Cassini left Earth almost 2 decades ago, and since then has beamed back a treasure trove of images and information from Jupiter, Saturn, and many of the ringed planet's mysterious moons. Cassini was also the mothership for a probe that would land on Saturn's largest moon, Titan. A world with clouds made of methane and hydrocarbon lakes. It was the most remote spacecraft landing yet. While Titan's close-up was groundbreaking, another of Saturn's moons, Enceladus, sparked even more attention.
It's the moon that my team discovered a water vapor plume at. But not only is there liquid water underneath the surface, but there's organic material, there's a heat source.
Those 3 things, if stable over time, are all the ingredients needed to create life. And scientists are keen to protect it from any microbes stowed away on Cassini.
The spacecraft is running out of fuel and it becomes increasingly difficult to navigate it through the system. And what you want to avoid is to crash on one of the icy moons like Enceladus, where habitability and a huge astrobiological potential has been discovered.
To avoid that scenario, Cassini has been sent on a suicide mission. On September the 15th, it'll dive through Saturn's atmosphere, burning up in the process. But in those final minutes, its antennas will be pointed towards home, sending back precious information right up until its fiery end. Robin Curnow, CNN.
Hard to imagine a conductor who's more robotic than this. Of course, that's kind of the point. It's called Yumi. Doesn't seem to have the panache of Bugs Bunny, but it was recently taught to conduct a performance at Italy's Verdi Theatre. Yumi could not improvise on its own, and it would have been thrown off altogether if the musicians had played something different. But it seemed to give a successful performance even alongside superstar tenor Andrea Bocelli. Even if they didn't hit the concert circuit, they still hit the concert circuit. And though Yumi didn't baton an eye at the challenge, it's one thing to have good conduct and conductors, it's another thing to be one. And the human conductor ain't passing the baton just yet. I'm Carl Azuz for CNN 10. We hope you orchestrate one exceptional weekend.